Guys, welcome to class. Hope you're all well. Today we're looking at the word very. How do we spell the word very? V-E-R-Y. This is a word that we use a lot in the English language. We can use this word in different ways. As an adverb, before adjectives. For example, it had been a long day and he was very tired. Perhaps I always walk very quickly, or even she writes very well. We could also use it as an adjective. They went down to the very bottom of the sea. The car exploded before my very eyes. We can also use it for emphasizing a quality that exists. It was a very good film. The building looks very old. I think she's very beautiful, don't you? That's very kind of you. But there's lots of different ways that we can use it. But we don't want to use this word constantly because there's lots of different synonyms that we can use to expand our vocabulary, and so that we don't just say the same words time and time again. We can use it when we are talking about people, perhaps. So we might say a person is an extremely kind person, or the man is an extremely handsome man. We might talk about how people could be helpful. So instead of saying it's a very helpful person, we might say an incredibly helpful individual. We might be discussing the weather, and the weather could be atrociously bad. So we might say it was terribly bad today. It just sounds a bit better than just saying very all the time. We might use it when we talk about the quality of education. So the qualification is highly respected. We might use it when we talk about behavior of adults or children. So badly behaved children. What about distance? Instead of saying very far away, we might say really far away. So there's lots of different synonyms that we can use. We can talk about it in positives. So we may have had a wonderful meal at a restaurant, and instead of saying it's a very nice restaurant, we might have had such a fantastic time that we would say it's a super restaurant. We might also talk about things like injuries. Someone might be severely injured or seriously hurt. Perhaps we might use them to talk about feelings. So he was desperately sad at the funeral. It helps us to find a different way to express how we might be feeling about something, or perhaps to put emphasis in a different way rather than just saying very all the time. There are lots of different words that provide much more of an impact. We might use the word most, or we might use the word jolly, or wildly, or greatly. Some other words that we might use as well might be desperately, seriously, intensely. There's some other simpler words that we might use as well, especially. So we might say the party, instead of saying the party was very nice, we might say the party was especially nice because of the music, of the decoration, or perhaps because somebody came to the party that we weren't expecting. We might just use the simple word much, or we might use the word particularly. So instead of saying that the weather on the day of the wedding was very nice, we might say that it was particularly nice, because then we are explaining that it's a bit more than very. Very just begins to sound a little bit dull and predictable. We might use it in the word awfully. So perhaps we were at an event and the food was awfully good. So in just saying very good, it just sounds a bit too casual, but awfully good sounds much better. If we really want to expand on it, we might use certain words like fantastically, fiercely, immensely, and one of my favorites, exceedingly. So we may talk about the service if we went to a very nice hotel. The service was exceedingly good. Again, if we were writing a review, for example, on TripAdvisor, this will sound much more complimentary than just saying the service was very good. Other words that we might use as well, fabulously, hugely. Another one that I like is remarkably, because by using these words, we're kind of personalizing what we say. If we just continuously use the word very, we almost sound as though we're just like everybody else. So perhaps if we talk about a favorite teacher of ours, my English teacher was remarkably dedicated to his students. So instead of just saying very dedicated, remarkably dedicated, it's very unique. Some other words that we might use, supremely, frightfully, totally, vitally, utterly. That's a favorite of mine as well. So we may talk about the service that we received being not so good this time. And instead of saying it was very bad, we might say it was utterly atrocious. So by using these words, it also helps us to find other words that we can use as adjectives to describe something. So it opens up an awful lot of vocabulary for us. We may also talk about some not so positive words, achingly. So instead of saying, oh, I hurt my foot when I was playing football and it was very sore, we might say it was achingly painful. We might also talk about things that are in terms of size. So instead of saying it was a very big ship that we went on the cruise on, we would say it was vastly huge. What other words could we use? Obviously. So instead of saying it was very apparent that it was going to rain, it was obviously apparent that it was going to rain. We might use another favorite of mine, radically. So instead of saying that it was very controversial, we might use this word, it was radically controversial. Other words, purely, substantially, notably, and then also another one that I like as well, extensively, amazingly, excessively. So all of these words will help us to avoid using the word very and being entirely predictable. It provides us with the opportunity to, as I said before, to make some unique observations about certain things. By using the word very, it becomes a bit monotonous and it doesn't always help us to explain exactly what we're trying to say. We may want to provide some real specific and very favorable feedback for a visit or for something. We may want to find the right vocabulary to use that. Some more words: astonishingly, abundantly, monumentally, obscenely, staggeringly, astronomically, and monstrously. So as you can see, I think that I have mentioned about 50 or 60 different words that we can use instead of the word very. So this way we can be a little bit more unique and help us to stand out a bit from the crowd, whether that's in writing or if we're just talking to people. We don't sound really boring by saying very all the time. We can really make an impact with some of these words. So I hope you found them useful. I certainly try to use them as much as I can, and I recommend that you guys start to use them too. Okay? Thanks very much.